being black is, oh my God, there's so much to it.
Being black means being beautiful, being diverse, being a different shade, being proud, being bold, being creative. Being black means being strong, especially in times of hardship.
Being black gives me flavor, it gives me hope, it gives me purpose.
Being black to me just means having that sense of community, knowing that where I'm from or even wherever I go, another black person is going to see me, we're going to see each other, and there's just kind of an unspoken bond.
Being black means power, it means beauty, it means love, it means strength.
They say black girl magic, black boy magic, that's real.
There's cultures within being black, right? We're not a monolith. Like, we are everything. Being black is everything.
We are a community-oriented people who have made great strides and who take great pride in our workmanship and in our craft. Black culture is a very integral part of world culture and American culture. Black people who came to this land, either by choice or by force, have contributed immeasurably to American wealth through labor and by creative intervention. Our culture has infected music culture, cuisine, fashion, trends, arts, even language. There's a very extensive list of creative interventions that are attributable to the Black community, although very seldomly do we receive the due credit and recognition. It is unfortunate that we live in a world where, instead of being appreciated, our culture and our workmanship is appropriated and our people are dehumanized. Despite the fact that the Black community is continually hated for loving itself, we've made tradition out of celebrating our beauty, our strength, our diversity. Being Black is more than just the color of our skin. Black is a diverse culture, rich in history, tradition, color, and creativity. Africa is often referred to as the motherland, as it is the very birthplace of the human race, the place where we all began. Black encompasses all of the subcultures and communities who have their origins in Africa, so we aren't just the African or the African American. We encompass all of the pieces of African ancestry, history, and tradition in all of the diaspora of people across the globe.
Something about my culture that makes me proud. Oh my God, one thing.
Our resilience, we fought adversity our entire lives. The moment we're born, our skin is a threat to some, but somehow we always find a way to overcome and fight and find joy and love in all of it.
Our uniqueness, it's trendy, it's edgy, it's fun, it's carefree. Everyone wants a piece of it.
I don't know what it is, it's just, we're lit.
Even through all the adversity, we still manage to come together, rise above, and stand up. And not only just for us, but for everyone.
Which is ironic because for hundreds of years, Black people went through it, like in the US and all over the world too, but in the US, like, I'm not just talking about slavery, like Jim Crow, hosing, beatings, lynching, dogs released on them, like every possible thing you could think of happened to Black people. And yet, we're still one of the first groups of people to speak up for other demographics when they are not being treated well. When I experience racism and prejudice, it's more so in the form of microaggressions or just really bad jokes from non-Black people that they think are funny, and they think these jokes won't offend me because in their minds, they've already decided that I'm not who they're talking about.
I'm told that I am an Oreo, or that I articulate myself really well, or, you know, going to law school is like really hard for you.
You know, you're pretty for a Black girl. I remember a girl on my cheerleading team asking me if I stole my car because my parents had bought me an Audi. If I had $1 for every experience that I was in that I felt I was being targeted because of my race, there would be no need for me to be in law school because I'd be rich.
I did karate for like 15 years, and I went on a trip in one of the last years to Tennessee with 3 white guys. Ugh. And lo and behold, they turned out to be racist. And I didn't know this because I was blissfully unaware that white men loathed me because I was Black. And to make a long story short, we drove up to Tennessee together, and I took a bus home alone after confronting them about their racism, and I was the one that had to apologize for the scene that I caused. And after 15 years of karate, I stopped going.
In high school, I wrote a paper for my English course, and I don't remember what the paper was about, but I do remember what my teacher said to me when I received my paper back after she graded it. She gave me an F, and she gave me an F because she said that it was clear that I plagiarized because the paper was written too eloquently and it didn't match how I spoke in regular conversation.
Before coming to law school, I was a multi-store manager for many years, and even though I earned my position and I was always a top performer, I had to constantly prove that I was worthy of being in the room. I've been asked before, hey, do you have a white manager? Who is your boss? And I had to explain to them that I am the boss. You know, and I shouldn't have to do that, you know. Even being the top performing manager in my district, I still had to explain to people why I was there and that I belonged in that space.
It was really hard, and it changed the way I saw myself. It changed the way I saw white people, and it changed the way I started to see the world.
I'm a person just like you are.
You need to understand that 400 years ago, our ancestors were taken from their land, and in those 400 years, we've had to pick up new traditions. We've had to make up new traditions. We've had to evolve, and every single one of us is different.
We are all individuals first, and we're Black second. No 2 Black experiences are the same.
Being a Hispanic Black person is having to explain to people why I'm Black. It's having people erase part of who I am when they say, you're not Black, you're Colombian.
And there's nothing that makes you Black enough. Like, you know, Black people are not a monolith, right? Like, there's not like one type of Black person.
There is no standard, there is no average Black person. I wish they understood that the color of our skin is not our culture. The color of my skin is not who I am. I am a an educated Black Hispanic woman born in a small island in the Caribbean that belongs to Colombia. I moved to the United States when I was 10 years old. I am all of those cultures.
I'm Jamaican. I can't walk into a room without saying good morning or good evening or good night. Tea is a cure for everything. I eat ackee and saltfish. I speak patois. I listen to reggae gospel. But you wouldn't know anything about me if you were to just see me on the street. Because the first thing people see when they look at me is not that I'm Jamaican, it's that I'm Black.
Never make a Black person feel like they have to defend their Blackness. When a person is busting their tail their whole lives to become Black and excellent, all of a sudden society rewards them by saying, oh, well, you're not really Black anymore, you lost your Black card. They'll say, well, you're technically Black, but you talk white or you're whitewashed. And what they mean by that is that we are all of a sudden too eloquent, we are too educated, we're too well versed on national news, and we've mastered the art of code switching too well because we've had to do it our entire lives to survive and become Black and excellent. We've done all of that too well to fit into their box of what a Black person should be. We are still Black when we're doing well, and we're still Black when we're not. And no one should ever be calling our Blackness into question.
I am no parts white. I'm not white. I've never been white. I'll never be white. So
stop trying to measure me against white standards. For example, if I speak properly, that does not mean I'm acting white or I'm more acceptable. Whereas if I bust out the patois or the Ebonics, that means I'm ghetto, Or if I wear my hair like this, it's being unprofessional, being in the workplace, or wear my natural hair out, or wearing my hair straight is more acceptable or seen as more professional. Doing a homie to a white standard.
There's a white standard for everything. So, you can look up the most basic thing you can think of. Short hairstyles for women. And you can go to the images and see what's there. Now, search the exact same thing, but at the end of it, type in for Black people. Now look at the images. Now you understand white standard.
So many times I've sat in classes and I've counted how many people look like me. And most times, 5 out of 60. It is distracting, it is depressing, and it's hard to believe that I know that in that classroom, nobody else is thinking the same thing. Nobody else is noticing that only 5 out of 60 students are Black. Nobody is thinking of why only 5 out of 60 students are Black. Nobody's thinking that it's not because we don't try. It's because the historical systematic prejudice that has been part of American history is the reason why only 5 out of 60 students are Black.
Imagine the stress that we have just as being a law student, and then add that, couple it with another whole level of stress that Black students face, trying to overachieve, just to be recognized as the white kids are, or trying to overachieve because we feel like we have to compensate for the community or represent the whole community, or because there's so little of us, we're almost like under a magnifying glass and everything we do is scrutinized. And we don't have that freedom. We don't have the freedom that people have to make mistakes and to grow from those mistakes, because being Black, we're stigmatized anyway. So one little mistake and that's it.
Because society, unfortunately, is going to look at you, is going to look at the color of your skin, and is going to find any reason to hold it against you. And it is unfair. You have to be better. You have to work harder. You have to think about how you carry yourself. You have to think about the conversations you're having with people outside of the workplace or outside of school. Can you trust those people?
We have to deal with a country that was built on racism and has racism embedded in almost every aspect, from getting jobs to healthcare discrimination to mass incarceration, over policing in our communities, financial discrimination, colorism. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Unfortunately, all of these weigh on our experiences as students, as professionals. And just to give you an example, coming into law school, it's almost a common Black experience to come in feeling like you don't really belong here, right? Because there's only a handful of us in a sea, of people who don't look like us. And the first question that arises is like, did I get accepted because of affirmative action? Is it because the school had to meet a quota for diversity that I'm here? It weighs on your ability to be confident in yourself, knowing that, no, I'm here because I scored well, because I deserve to be here, because I'm just as equally qualified as my white counterpart.
We're just at a significant disadvantage, and I would like for them to grasp that point. On top of the problems that we all face, are another set of problems that only Black people face.
Being Black means to be constantly subjected to and to be a subject of strife and hatred in America.
Being Black is constantly worrying about my nephews or the Black men in my family, whether or not they'll get home, whether they'll be the next Trayvon Martin or the next George Floyd or the next Ahmaud Arbery. Being aware of things that my friends might not be aware of. Planning a road trip and having to consider whether or not I'm driving through a Confederate area.
Having to choose between my mental health and staying up to date with current events, because every time we turn on the news or get on social media, another brother or sister has been slaughtered.
Being Black is never being able to be myself.
I don't even know the last time I really felt like my normal self, my normal happy self, because of statements like all lives matter, to disregard the cry from Black America. When you say that, all you're saying is that our lives don't matter. You don't care about what happens to us. You don't care about equality for us. In other words, we're right back to where we were 400 years ago, when we were considered property. We were considered useless. We were considered nothing. Privilege is just another word for benefit. So white privilege is just white benefit. White privilege, however, is rooted in racism. White privilege does come from racism. It only exists because racism existed. We are talking about slavery, where we had Black people enslaved as property, and they belonged to white people. To still be where we are here today and still not be past the systemic issues that our country was founded on, that is why white privilege exists. Privilege doesn't just belong to white people. You can be Black and have privilege. As long as you're lighter than me, you're gonna have a little bit more privilege over me.
While I am Black and I'm very proud to be Black, I have to acknowledge that I am a biracial, light-skinned young woman. And so that automatically means that my Black experience is going to be very different than other people in the Black community. And that is because a big part of the Black experience is colorism and sexism. So I believe that I still live in a very male-dominated society. When I go into the workplace full of men, most of them are very kind to light-skinned young women. I don't think I've ever gotten discriminated against because I'm Black, just because all they see is like a young girl.
You know, I'm a light-skinned Black person. I have tons of privilege. I'm 3B, 4A hair. So I have a lot of privilege that, my trans, disabled, dark-skinned Black brothers and sisters deal with every single day on the surface.
Say I go for an interview for a job, it's me and a white woman and a lighter, let's say a lighter Black woman. She's Black, but she's got a lighter skin tone than me. Let's say she's biracial, so her hair is a little bit less coiled than mine. She's got like curly hair around her shoulders or something. A lot of companies have decided that natural Black hair is unprofessional. And so she has that privilege over me because her hair is closer to the white standard. My hair is far from it, and it cannot be the white standard. I'd have to wear a wig, or I'd have to treat my hair, damage my hair to make it straight or whatever. Something that I'm not willing to do, and I shouldn't have to do, because this is just who I am, this is what I look like. We all graduated with 4.0s, and we went to Ivy League schools, and we were awesome. If the company who's looking to hire someone is using the white standard, the white woman is going to be hired. Not because she's better than us, not because of any legitimate reason, but because racism from 400 years ago is still embedded in our system, in our thinking, in our society. And the preferred race in America is white. Anything over the dark-skinned Black person is preferred. That's privilege. Those situations put me at a disadvantage.
The Black community is absolutely not looking for heroes. We're not throwing a pity party and looking for somebody to come save us. I think the only thing this community is concerned with is realized, actual change. And that begins when we're able to recognize that the problem is bigger than just Black or white versus Black, right? This is an issue of humanity. And this isn't the first time in world history where one race declared itself superior and legalized, mistreatment of a class of people. It's not okay, and it's never been okay. And so we are living this. This is something that we are continually living. And so we just need people to stand with us and use whatever privilege or whatever voice they have to make sure that real change is actualized. We care about dismantling systematic or systemic oppression of people, not just for Black people, but for people across the globe. It's a matter of the heart.
What's the point of being United States where we just have a bunch of different places connected by land if our people aren't connected? We should live in a world where white people aren't scared of us because of what they think our skin can do, and we're not scared of them because of what we know their skin does.
Until you can look at me and recognize that I'm Black and see me as an equal, then we're always going to have this issue.
In the words of Professor Donald F. Tibbs, be unapologetically black or brown. Speak up, be loud, show out. Don't whiten yourself. Don't lower yourself. Don't quiet yourself, because you're here for a purpose. You're important. You matter. Your life matters. Black lives matter.
Be the loudest voice in the room. Even if it's only you standing, be the loudest voice in the room. Don't let anybody make you feel small. Let them know who you are, where you come from, what you believe, and why you believe it.
Do not forget where you came from. Do not forget the struggles that you went through to get to where you are today, or the people who helped you to get to where you are today.
Don't give up. Keep pushing. Because we're working really hard for you to get there.
So when you get there, when you climb the ladder and you're there, bring another brother along, bring another sister along, open the door for someone else. That is how we will build wealth within the Black community, and that is how minorities will succeed in this country.